Time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. We begin here at home, of course, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's second-term bid has received another boost as Governor Charles Soludo of Anambra State, who belongs to the opposition All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, and Senator Aliyu Wadada, representing Nasarawa West Senatorial District, on the platform of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, declared support for President Tinubu in 2027. Governor Soludo attributed his support for the second-term bid of President Tinubu in 2027 to the economic reforms his administration has initiated and implemented since May 29, 2023 in the country. Soludo made this known while speaking with newsmen shortly after a closed-door meeting with President Tinubu at the State House. In the same vein, Senator Wadada has also declared that there would be no space for the opposition political parties to contest the position of president in 2027. Wadada emphasized that no candidate has what it takes to defeat President Bola Tinubu.
For me, when I say progressives working together, it's a call for all those who call on that. And then talk about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, I don't make any, I have no apologies about it. President Tinubu is my friend, has been my friend, 22 years now, and counting. So you don't deny a friend, I'll begin to be quivering about who is. He is my friend. I support him.
The happenings now may not warrant my continuous stay in SDP. And so I am on my way. I could even say that I am APC, though I have not officially moved, but I am APC, and not because SDP has offended me, just like the same way I moved from APC to SDP. Dynamism of life makes it imperative for everything in life to be dynamic. ADC is membered by Nigerians that we respect. We have respect for, but look at them. Look at each and every one of them. Who stands to do anything better than what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is doing? Tell me. I haven't seen any.
Well, on to other issues now. As the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Ola Olukoyede has dismissed accusations by the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, that the opposition was targeted for selective persecution, saying that it targets corruption both in the ruling and opposition parties. ADC had queried the EFCC's urgent summons to former Senate President David Mark and former governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, saying the agency was being used by the government to harass and intimidate opposition party leaders using media trials as its tool. Responding to ADC's allegations, Olukoyede described the claims as self-serving, diversionary, and an attempt to whitewash individuals with corruption questions to answer. Olukoyede maintained that EFCC's investigative net cut across party lines, pointing to ongoing probes involving serving governors, ministers, and senior figures in the ruling party. He stressed that he had faced no backlash when investigating those in government and should therefore not be condemned for probing opposition leaders. And lastly, to one of the hottest topics in Nigeria at the moment, the Senate yesterday launched a full-scale investigation into a string of troubling incidents involving airlines and passengers, as public concern grew over safety standards, regulatory lapses, and passenger treatment across the nation's aviation sector. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Aviation, Senator Buhari Abdul Fatai, who made this known in a press statement, stated that the committee was alarmed by the frequency and gravity of recent airline passenger altercations that have gone viral and stirred widespread outrage. He said the committee, exercising its constitutional oversight authority, would summon key players in the aviation ecosystem. This was as the Nigerian Bar Association condemned the treatment meted out to Ms. Comfort Emerson by officials of the Ibom Air, describing it as reckless and a violation of human dignity. NBA has promised to defend her freely in court and also called for the identification and prosecution of all those responsible for capturing and distributing the unedited footage. arguing that such acts erode public trust and undermine the right of all citizens to be treated with dignity and respect. Well, Rufai, the story has certainly grown legs and is turned into a much bigger conversation.
It's a much bigger conversation, and the paradigm is quickly turning because people are asking questions. Who in that video, was it an air hostess that ripped the lady's shirt off that made us see her body parts? Who in that video? You know, because I'm very privy to how these things done. People can quickly shoot a side of the video to show you what transpired. But the question we keep asking is, what happened? Because action and reaction are equal and opposites. You might say everything about the lady, we condemn her as regards how she reacted, but she wouldn't just have reacted if something had not triggered the actions. And that's why when the NCA is saying that people that were in the plane should come out, but you have a manifest of those on the plane now. So I was wondering why were you saying that they should come out? Because you, the NCA, that is now saying for proper investigation, but you are taking sides. The airline operators are quickly banned her without even reviewing what transpired. It was just one side of the video. Anyway, that will be challenged in courts. So we need to look at all sides and investigate. And I'm happy the NBA say they're going to look at it. I hear the woman will be still in jail till about the 6th of October. I don't know what's going on as regards that. Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, which is very bad. I think for this, bail should have also sufficed. Because the woman now is the victim in all of this. And thank God for the luck of introspection. The woman now is the victim. She's pulled down and everything. Ibom was quick to release a report. She was charged to court while nothing happened. And thank God for the public outcry. And that's why I see, please, Nigerians, sometimes it looks like your voice are not heard, but your voice are being heard. If not for the public outcry now, all of a sudden now, the IG is saying they want to now start investigating Wasu's case. For over a week, did they do anything? But thank you. That's why I say, see, democracy dies in silence. When you keep quiet, democracy will die. When you say, let's be decorous, let's not say anything, they will not do anything. It should be on record that your voices are heard. And I have a message to my big Egbon Jimmy Disu this morning. I was listening to your show while I was driving to work. And you were saying you are tired because you know all these corruption cases, will report them will not be investigated. Egbon, don't be tired. It's because people like you and I and Vimbaya and Dr. Abati and everybody is talking. That's why these people that still perpetrate these actions have small fear. Because they know sunlight is the best detergent. When you shine the sunlight on them, they know everything is revealed. So please, my charge for you this morning, is don't stop talking. And for the Senate that say they want to investigate Abode Moka, where is the report of their investigation when on Shomole's case happened? Abode Moka Senate, we have seen the return from Mecca. Where is the investigation? As regards EFCC, see, EFCC cannot remove the toga that they are politically slanted. Let's not deceive ourselves. Me, Rufai was saying, I've spoken for EFCC many times. When they went after Yahya Bello, I spoke for them. I fought with EFCC and I will fight with EFCC because I feel corruption and I know corruption should be exposed in this country. But the question I have for EFCC is this. Where is the results of the investigation into the former humanitarian minister? Till today, we have not heard anything. And you want me to believe that everything is fair. Release the report of that investigation. Let's even see if the woman is exonerated or not. And you want me to believe. All of a sudden, David Mark, Emeka Ehedioha, Tambawa, I'm not saying if they are corrupt, they should not be found out. But the question is, when did you get this file on David Mark or Tambawa and all these people? Why is that you waited till they started their ADC activity? That's why it looks suspicious. And from Intel, I hear more of them will still be, I hear more investigations are still on. They are still reading things connected to these people. So why is it that it is now that when ADC started that we are seeing all of this? Why? At least David Mark has been out of power for how many years now? If you had all of this, if you have prosecuted David Mark months before the ADC started, I would be the one to support you. But it's looking like they say in Nigerian parlance, one kind. It doesn't mean when you're not on your right, I will fight with you, I will support you, which the EFCC is also aware. And they have noted the fight I also fought. But on this, I'm taking the fight to them. It's hard for them to prove that it's not political. They should prove it by releasing the investigation in what transpired in the former Interior Ministry and some other cases that are pending and allegations people have made to them so that we see it for ourselves. I'm not surprised if Mr. Soludo wants to support anybody. I'm not surprised when anybody has a right to support anybody. But it is the people that will determine. Mr. Soludo didn't support Peter Obi in elections in what's it called in Anambra. He still won overwhelmingly in Anambra. So he can support anybody he wants to support. That's just my own.
Okay, let's start with EFCC. I've tried again and again on this table to explain the EFCC mandate, the powers of the EFCC under the Enabling Act of 2014 to investigate, to seize, to indict people, to prosecute people, and all of that. What Mr. Olaolukoyede is saying, basically, is that it is acting within its mandate. And everyone should just note the point that he made, that, look, EFCC is running a non-partisan mandate, which means that, whether you are in APC or you are in ADC or you are in SDP or in PDP, the agency has the powers under its Enabling Act to call anybody to question, to investigate, and to follow through on the basis of the findings of those investigations. Now, he also made a point that there is no statute of limitation on criminal charges. In other words, how do you differentiate between old cases and fresh cases? If a man was governor 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, and then the EFCC now is revisiting the case, the defense of the EFCC chairman is that, okay, maybe they've been carrying out investigations all these years. And when the investigation ripens, then they can still move against the person. However, the caveat to that, the other way to look at it, the footnote, to be specific, is that this is a political season. The timing. This is a time when people are moving from one wing of the political system to the other. Why should it be at that time that you now have high-profile persons like Senator Tambuwal and former Governor Ihedioha, who are the ones being invited? And this is not new, in my view. Under President Obasanjo, under every other president, there were these assumptions that the EFCC was being used as a political tool to harass, to intimidate people who were not in the good books of the government. And in fact, it reaches height. This abuse of public institutions, either the ICPC or the EFCC, reaches height under the Muhammadu Buhari administration, which was a very vindictive, administration, trying to settle scores with people without necessarily looking at the issue. So the message to Mr. Olukoyede and the EFCC is that the expectation of Nigerians is that the EFCC will be fair, that the EFCC will not allow itself to be used for partisan purposes, as he himself has affirmed. And as they say, people will always react to what they see. So the onus is on the EFCC to continue to show this non-partiality that Mr. Olukoyede talks about, and to separate the operations of these institutions from politics. And President Tinubu, at the end of the day, is the one who has that ultimate responsibility to ensure that anti-corruption agencies are not used for political purposes. I don't think this is the last time Mr. Olukoyede will have to explain to the public. He will have to keep providing justification to say, look, there's no limitation of time. There is also no partisanship involved. That takes care of that. As for Governor Soludo and Senator Aliyu Wadada, Senator Aliyu Wadada represents Nasarawa West. He used, on the platform of the SDP, he used to be a member of the All Progressives Congress. Now, he says he's supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Governor Soludo of Anambra State says he has no apologies for supporting President Jonathan, President Tinubu, whom he has known personally for 22 years. And he thinks that is the person who should remain in the saddle of government to move this country forward. Well, both Senator Wadada and Governor Soludo, they have rights under the Constitution to make their own choices. However, the way that I will look at it is to say that both gentlemen are expressing what is called political wisdom. Governor Soludo, for example, is in Anambra State. He's a potential presidential candidate from the Southeast. So both now and in the future, he has to make wise choices. And I think that what he has done in this case is to take a wise decision. Senator Wadada has seen the direction in which the train is moving. He too is trying to be wise and protect himself. After all, in life, as in politics, the first rule of the game is self-preservation. Beyond self-preservation, you also worry about your own future and your own calculations. So I think what is being played out here is political wisdom at a personal level. You may disagree with it, but you cannot question the right of the individuals to make their choice. Finally, the Senate saying that it's going to exercise oversight functions, responsibility over issues that have been happening in the aviation sector. It is perfectly within the right of the Senate to do so, to ask questions, because there are many gray areas in the matter involving Quam 1 and in the matter involving Quam 2, and also the role of the institutions. Yesterday, Michael Achimugo was said to have been on television, and he was saying that there is a subtle difference between the Quam 1 case and the Quam 2 case. Quam 2 case now is referring to Comfort Emerson in the Ibom Air incident. And he was saying that, well, the airline involved in the Quam 1 case did not decide to press matters, did not decide to go to court. But that in the Ibom Air case, you know, the airline acted differently, and also that the AON, Airline Operators Organization of Nigeria, also decided to press the matter. The rub of it, the long and short of it, is a point being made by the Nigerian Bar Association, Afam Osigwe, SAN, leading that team, saying the same points that I made yesterday. That one, Ms. Comfort Emerson was dehumanized, she was tortured. Her privacy was exposed unduly. She has the right to privacy, she has the right to movement under Section 41, she has the right to the dignity of the human person, she has the right to fair hearing under Sections 35 and 36 of the Constitution of Nigeria. All of these rights were routinely violated. However, what we expect is that the NBA will offer pro bono services to defend our rights. There are already some agencies, some NGOs saying we will defend her pro bono because she has human rights. And that there are details in this matter that have not been properly addressed in terms of how government has tried to be selective in terms of the administration of justice. However, the residual lesson that everyone must learn is that when you are a passenger, you are traveling, you are as a citizen. You have rights, but you also have responsibility. And the primary responsibility here is to respect the rules of the land and to respect the rules governing the operations so that you do not jeopardize the security of other passengers, whether you are Quam 1 or you are Quam 2.
Okay,
Absolutely,
there's a new quick
an
story
update.
there I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Press statement, decision to withdraw criminal complaints against Ms. Comfort. In the last 48 hours, I've been in consultation with critical stakeholders in the aviation sector involving the unfortunate incident. Though regrettably, we think valuable lessons have been learned by all sides of the incident. As I alerted in my previous statement, clear two wrongs committed by the offending passenger and the staff of the airlines involved in all the evidence available to us. It is clear that all actors involved cannot continue to highlight the injury or injustice done to them without acknowledging their own equal fault. Therefore, after reviewing the entire incident, including appeals made by well-meaning individuals and remorse shown by actors, the case of, what's it called, Comfort MNC. I have conferred Ibom Airline to withdraw criminal complaints against her today. When the police took her statement in presence of the lawyer, she exhibited great remorse for her conduct. Subsequently, the withdrawal of the complaints by the CP of the airport and the police prosecutor would immediately take a remaining steps to facilitate her release from Kirikiri prison. And he also talked about the case of Kwamo. I don't want to impinge on your time.
Okay, well, so just the highlights of that. So any criminal complaints against Ms. Comfort Emanson have now been withdrawn. This is as per the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, is breaking from our news desk. Additionally, as Rufai said, they will be facilitating for her release from Kirikiri as soon as possible, they say this week. Additionally, they have spoken to the airline operators of Nigeria to request that the life ban be rescinded. That communique, they say, will come out later. With regards to Kwam1, his own punishment with regards to no flying has been reduced from this initial 6-month period reported. It's now down to a 1-month period. And FAN will also engage him as an ambassador for correct airport protocol, security protocol going forward. Similarly, any criminal complaint lodged against Kwam1 shall be withdrawn. And ValueJet is said to also will be restoring the piloting licenses of those officers involved after a 1-month suspension. So that's a summary, and I think the conclusion was that the minister said this is based on compassionate grounds and that this is where he draws the line, and moving forward there will be zero tolerance. I paraphrase. That's the latest update on that story. Well, I think this will elicit mixed reactions. As much as it is a big relief, it also goes back to the question that when are we going to be able to ensure that we enforce consequences? When are we going to eradicate impunity? So number one, there's a culture of impunity. Number two, there's a culture of begging after you have been caught breaking rules. So when are we going to learn that sorry in itself does not resolve issues? That if we continue with a society of sorry and apologies, it doesn't fix what is broken. So I think these are positive developments in ensuring that these two cases are able to temper down. Part of the statement also says that the airlines and operators and so forth will also be sanctioned to go for a retreat next week to engage their staff. Well, I think there'll be several comments coming from this, but this is just breaking news that's coming in. With the time I have left, I'll quickly look at Governor Soludo, who, of course, by no surprise, has endorsed President Tinubu for 2027. I looked at this issue from two prisms. The first prism for me is 2025. We have a senatorial by-election coming up this weekend. That's Anambra South, to fill the vacancy left by the dearly departed Senator Ifeanyi Uba. And then, of course, in November, we have a gubernatorial election also taking place in Anambra. Now, in all of this, Nicholas Ukachukwu of the APC has been using the slogan that he will connect Anambra State to the national political grid as his way of campaigning to say that having an APC governor will serve in the state's best interest. So I think this immediately neutralizes that campaign. This move by Governor Soludo immediately says that if it's about being connected to the national political grid, I am capable. So it will be interesting to see how Nicholas Ukachukwu is going to navigate this. This is a litmus test for him, the gubernatorial election in November, because he's actually from Anambra South as well, having lost the last senatorial election in 2023 to Ifeanyi Uba. At the time, he was with APGA, and then he later decamped to APC. So this is a litmus test for him as to his decamping, whether his decamping will bear any fruit for him, or whether he has been outsmarted by the political moves of Governor Soludo. Now, the second prism is that of 2027, which, of course, we've already spent a lot of time on. We remember the article released in November of 2022 called "History Beckons and I Will Not Be Silent," when Governor Soludo expressed how he thought that any chance of Peter Obi being president or even coming into the first 2 slots was an impossibility. He also broke down what he thought was Peter Obi's legacy or lack thereof, in his opinion. But it was a very controversial article at the time because he still reiterated that this is my brother. So it was strange for us to see 2 people from the same home ground going against each other. However, he continues in the spirit, predictably so, in saying that, well, I will not be moving from my position. I still don't believe that Peter Obi is a viable candidate for 2027, is in essence what I think is being said here. So it seems he's killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which is that ensuring that for the senatorial election, things can go in his favor. We'll wait to see how that goes. And of course, for the gubernatorial election, before we look at 2027, of course, it's all about federal might. And it's unfortunate that this is what elections have come down to. Now, very quickly concerning the EFCC, I think we need to reiterate where EFCC is concerned that it is a right that an individual who is accused and prosecuted is either convicted or acquitted. It's unfortunate that we continue to dwell in this gray area, these gray spaces, because they now give credence to the accusations that EFCC is behaving in a partisan way. We've seen how the anti-graft war has been weaponized, not just in Nigeria, globally, time and time again. And now you see these people, some who have been out of office for so long, like I said, their files were gathering dust, but suddenly their files become of interest. This is not the first time. Some of the conversations that were alleging that there was a big plot to turn Nigeria into a one-party state also emanated from EFCC files, from allegations that EFCC was being used as a coercive mechanism, as a mechanism to threaten, a carrot and a stick to those politicians who should either play ball or be left out to dry in the public space. We've seen some cases that have just dramatically died down after having massive momentum. And of course, in the ADC statement, they spoke of those governors who have also crossed over into the ruling party, and their cases have also disappeared. So unfortunately, there is a pattern. The trend and the evidence is overwhelming, and it's now up to the EFCC to put their foot down. Yes, we see the work that they're doing. We see the massive convictions when it comes to internet fraud, when it comes to other areas. But when it comes to a high-profile individual, if we are to check how many people have been convicted or acquitted in the past 5 years, the numbers, unfortunately, do not collate with the expectation that we have compared to the number of people who are accused, the number of cases that are dragged through the media, and to no final conclusion. And this is why the accusation of media trials is accurate, because if we don't get any conclusive outcome from the powers that be, all that is left is the information that is in the public space. And this is also unfair for those, because yes, as much as we emphasize conviction, I'm also emphasizing acquittal. And it's only fair that those whose cases are seen to not have any merit are able to clear their names and move on from these cases. Well, on that note, it's not... Yes.
Before we go on break, just to make a point, that the people who say they are acting on compassionate grounds on the matter of Ms. Emerson, now, or that somebody has apologized. There's no such thing.
Yes.
An allocutus in a legal matter, can reduce the sentencing. Ms. Emerson and those supporting her, they still have strong grounds to go to court and insist that her rights have been violated under the various sections that I have listed. And she can seek remedy. Ibi jus, ibi remedium. So she can insist on a remedy for the violation of our fundamental human rights. And by the same token, the state has a responsibility to get to the end of this matter, to send a signal to the general public that you cannot act with impunity, whoever you are, no matter your station in this country. You must obey rules.
Affirmative, Dr. Abbas, because it just looks as if we swept everything under the carpet and c'est fini là-bas. No, n'est pas bon. N'est pas bon.
N'est pas bon.